Hey, welcome to the process. My name is Dr. John Bush. We are continuing our journey, 2024 research. This is ADP versus end of the season PPR points by positions, running backs, part 4. So that means you should look at the first 3 parts to get the whole story here. We're continuing knocking it out. And let's get going. If you don't understand the reason by now why we're doing what we're doing, I don't know what to tell you. The few that are listening, by the way, thanks. This is for the science of fantasyfootball.com. Okay, let's go here. So, I bounce back and forth between draft rounds based on ADP, right? So the first 12 picks, that's round 1. Next 12 picks, round 2, etc. And I've got down to round 14. And then I look at that each year, and I average the players in that area, that time, that sector, and get a fantasy end of the season fantasy point average. And in this case, I then generate those numbers and then conditionally colorize the boxes, the top 30 in green, the bottom 30 in red, and uncolored would be the mid 40% of the population. So again, gets the idea of where we're at across a block of time. This concept of looking beyond, yesterday, having a global view, a top-down view. Nobody's doing this stuff that I know of. So, and that's fine. I do my own stuff. I don't use other people's. Whatever it is they're selling, I'm not buying. So, here's the actual PPR averages end of the season, EOS as I call it. And what I did with this is I manipulated the boxes with the averages and assigned 100% to the top. So in this case, 2015, that would have been 3rd round. 93.6. Okay, the 6th round, almost close. Okay, 1st round, very sad that year. It's a very sad year. So then I took this number, 110. What percentage of 193 is it? And it is 57%. So this is another way to view the data on a scale of 0 to 100. To me, I think it's better, easier to remember if we assign and manipulate the data to show us metrics that are better for us to understand. So I believe 0 to 100, everybody understands in the 90s is good, and if you're 10%, that's bad. So I think, those skewed images, skewed numbers, I think it brings home things. So now the numbers become, to me, clearer, and I stain them with purple high to yellow low. And you can get then a trend of about the year, right? So obviously 2015 round 1 was a disaster. Okay. If you look, so we can go down the rounds if we want, or we can go across. So you can get information either way. So let's go down. And you can see 2016, 89, 2021, 85. So we had some bumps in the road. But boy, look at what you would predict when you're drafting round 1. you're thinking 100%, and there it is. So 4 years has been 100, last year 96. So you can call it anything in the 90s, I think. 4, 5, 6. So 6 years, pretty good. We had some almost 90. Here's 89, 85. So really only one really bad failure. But to me, 85 is still a failure because of the draft capital. Round 2, we can look. 2018 was a disaster for round 2 pickers here, so forth. Round 3, we were at 80%. And you're thinking, oh, that's pretty good. Folks, that's not pretty good. That's the third best it's been in 9 years. So that was starting to be outstanding. Round 4, we find last year sucked, 58. We're in the 60s, 60. There's this round 9 hit. Okay, so if you look at round 9, I've hinted that, you're 67. Look at the rounds on either side. Okay, and we can see there's been some really interesting years where things really popping in round 9 and 2016 round 10. So I definitely want to spend a little bit of time hitting RBs in this area. For the most part, the first 2 rounds are fairly steady and safe. Okay. Next 2 rounds, there's some nice areas, but there's a little bit of looseness here, so that is concerning. And then rounds 5, 6, at least 5 kind of hits down, but then round 6 kind of comes back up a little bit. If you can see some of these numbers, then 7 and 8 are kind of sad. Then we kind of have this boost of 9 and 10, and then it gets extra sad after about round 11 or so. So again, this idea you're going to pull these round RB1s in this range, it's just not going to happen. Okay, I know. Oh, well, that one time. We're looking overall at the law of big numbers here. So if we look examples, using this metric, we still see these same patterns. 2015 was sad early, peaked round 6, and then declined. That's what a 0 RB is going to give you. That's the pattern. The pink and the red are the last 2 years. Opposite of what you would think for 0 RB. Early and then decline. We did get a peak around 8, 9 in last year, but then a decline. And 22 was even worse. I mean, it was really just decay. The decay rate really worse. Last year, it decayed, and you kind of have this area about to around 9 and then a decline. So again, multiple year patterns that are different. So the idea that 2024 is going to be like 2023, looking at the last 9 years, I would not predict that. There's some things you can predict, right? I think the first 2 rounds should do fairly well. In other words, I'm not buying that 0 RB is something that's faded in the cards at all. Not sure we'll see another 2015 to where you're getting insane picks. I think there's some tendencies, and I think round 9 is one. Round 6, there's some things happening. And then I think rounds 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4, and 5 is kind of almost a decline, and then 6 pops back up, 7 and 8 decline, then 9, something's happening here, and then a decline. So I think you can see the 9-year pattern there. So another way to look at this is I split the data up, 15 to 18, 19 to 23. So the last 4 years, what's been going on? So I generated the averages for the 15 to 18 versus 19 to 23. Look at the averages. I mean, there's the trends. Clearly round 1 and 2. Then 3 and 4 or something. Then 5 and 7 and 6 is a little perky. Then 8 you decline, and then 9th round there's been some perking up, and then after the 9th round, 10th round, it's extra sad. Extra sad. So here's a way you can slice that data. And let's look at those trends. So if we just line up the averages, 15 to 18, 19 to 23, what are we seeing here? I think the tendency is a high early and a decline, and then whether things happen after round 9 or not, I think it was more pronounced in 15 to 18 if you look at the blue line, and then a decline. So it was a little bit more give to the 0 RB. In other words, you kind of had this data, but then it flattened out. The last 4 years has been a steady decline, a little bit of a flat and then decline. So not as enhanced decline, and I mean enhanced kind of stationary or flattening. I think this area right here from 6 to 9, I think that data is saying that 0 RB was probably working better for us than they have recently. In other words, there's nothing in this last 4-year trend line that would support 0 RB just kind of at that data here. I understand people are going to come out of the woodwork, well, it worked for me, etc., right? It's the old 100-year-old person, yeah, I drink a fifth of whiskey every day all my life. That's the secret to living to 100. Okay, if you understand stats and you understand extremes, you understand things that probably are so rare that they're going to stand out, right? They're just going to stand out. And, you know, that's what that is when they interview people at 100. Well, how did you live to be? Well, I ate T-bone steaks every day. It's laughable if you understand the law of big numbers, large numbers, etc., and the distributions here. But these are things you need to put into your pocket and think about these global trends. Okay? If you see something in like round 5 and you're thinking, wow, this is okay, grab it. I mean, that's what the diary's for. This is just frameworking things. Okay? Lack of prep is what's happening out here in the Twitterverse, folks, for fantasy. Nobody I see is looking at these big patterns that I can see. Okay, it's always, you know, flavor of the moment, what's going on. And let me tell you, that's what is selected for. People won't like what happened last week. That's what we're going to focus on. That is ruling the day. The reason you don't see this is because people either don't know it's there or don't care or not buying any of it. Well, that, you know, that's too much data, whatever. There's no selection for this kind of intense in the population of fantasy football players. Okay. So if you're a content creator, just realize if you're not taking off, it's probably because you're not fitting what's going on in there. So then, do you fit? In other words, do you blend in with the crowds? And then you and everybody else are saying a lot of the same things? Okay, get the clicks, etc. Or do you do your own thing? If you do your own thing, you're going to be out in the desert a lot, folks. And you may not ever come in from the cold. Sorry. I wish I could say, you're rewarded for your efforts. So you need to be doing this for yourself. And if other people decide and figure out this is a pretty good way to do things, they'll join your train. If not, you'll labor in obscurity. Happens all the time. Happens in science too. It's just the way it is. So think about it. When you look at what's out there, is the information I'm looking for, if you find it really easy, then that probably means that everybody's got it, right? The more common knowledge is, the more worthless it is. Care what you think, right? If you and everybody else know it, it's probably not worth anything. It's sacred knowledge, secret knowledge that has the tendency to really have a big impact value. Learn that at the racetrack, right? Just go and hang around the hot dog man, and he gets to hear everything, or she gets to hear everything. And if they are picking things and saying, oh, this horse is good, that means everybody's told them they're good, and it's worthless. That means the odds on the horse will not be good. When the hot dog man knows it, and you think you're going to bet it, I wouldn't bet it, So that's something to think about. Sacred knowledge, secret stuff is going to be worth more. And so the tyranny of being a creator is the more your knowledge gets out there, the less valuable it is. How about that? So that's probably depressing for many. Okay. But again, I do this for myself. You guys are just getting to tag along because it's kind of fun to be out there. Okay. So I think we'll shut this down, my diatribe here, and we will pick up with the next block of material. So we're having lots of fun. But think about secret knowledge and how valuable that is versus what everybody is saying and doing. It's a lot of the same thing out here. And it's not very valuable, folks. Really, it's not. Okay, come back. We'll do part 5, RBs. See what's going on.